Hey, Daniel Lissing, Erin Krakow fans, you are here on these pages. Hardy's Team Jack and Team Eclipse fan pages for Dan and Erin because we've got a little movie coming up soon. Santa Tell Me kicks off in 2 weeks, about November 9th. And I'm super excited to announce that we're going to do some Santa Tell Me chats with some people in the film, behind the scenes, all that good stuff. So we're starting off today with Mr. Ryan Landels. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Hello. Thank you.
Only
Good to
one
be
of me
here.
to only one of me to applaud today, but you can imagine we'll insert some applause sound effects there.
That would be great. That would be great. A
Awesome.
roaring, thunderous applause would
All
be
right.
very much
Perfect.
appreciated.
So you are the writer and director of Santa Tell Me.
Mhm.
So before we dive into the film itself, I think you're probably a new face to a lot of our fans, on Dan and Erin fans. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Where you're from? Where'd you grow up?
Sure. Well, I am a Vancouver boy, born and bred, and grew up there, loving movies, wanting nothing more than to be doing what I'm doing right now, which is writing and directing. So I was one of five boys. I was the second oldest, so I was big enough that I could kind of wrangle my younger brothers into shooting these little backyard
Yeah.
epics. And that was really where I cut my teeth and really discovered that this was something I had a passion for that I ended up following all the way down to Los Angeles. So once I graduated from high school, I came down here for film school and then kind of never left and ended up having a great experience with working for a production company where I really learned the nuts and bolts of not only filmmaking, but also really what goes into a script. I was directing commercials at the same time and ended up getting a call from a friend who had a show set up with Hulu and Paramount. And he said to me, "Hey, quit your job, come work with me on the show. It's going to be this amazing experience." And so I took that bet on myself and did it. And I've been doing that full time ever since. So it's been this really fun kind of terrific adventure all the way along. And what's really terrific about this movie in particular, about Santa Tell Me, is that it was always my dream to go back to Vancouver and be able to direct a movie there. And that was the first time that this has actually happened. So it was this really
No
lovely
kidding.
homecoming and this
Wow.
terrific experience all the way through.
That's so great. So did the writing kind of come first? So tell us a little bit about the writing and directing, or did you always sort of picture yourself doing both, or?
Well, I've always done a little bit of both. What I'll
Okay.
say is that, again, coming out of film school, I had this short film that got me kind of on the radar of some of the school's alumni, and that was really how I got my first job. And
Okay.
then working with them, I was working on these big, fun Hollywood movies that were shooting all around the world. And that was really what inspired me to start, continue to like basically be directing not only short films, but also commercials and everything I could.
Okay.
So my first job away from, the production company kind of world and more into writing and directing was a writing and directing job. It was for 3 seasons of this show called the LXD, which was for Hulu and Paramount. And out of that, it was this terrific, this really wonderful experience being able to put together the show from really concept through to completion. And what happened is that out of it came this really wonderful collaboration with this close friend of mine, John Chu, who said to me, "Oh, do you have any ideas for Gem and the Holograms?" Which, of course, was the old Hasbro animated series, and I did. And so, what came out of that was the chance to write that movie for Universal. And really, I started then getting into a track of just writing, writing, writing. So I was doing more writing than directing, but
Okay.
Santa Tell Me provided the opportunity for me to get back in the director's chair, which was something that I was really, really excited about.
Yeah, I'm so intrigued about that balance, and we'll definitely get a little bit into that as we go. How common is that people kind of do both? Is it more common than we know of, or?
I would say it might be a little bit more common than you think. I think
Okay.
that
Yeah.
I do think that there's a healthy balance of it.
Yeah.
I maybe that's just me and my friends. I'm not exactly sure, but I think that if you're a storyteller, whether you're a writer or a director, there's such an overlap because it's such a team effort all the way through
Yeah.
that, for me, it's always been something that I loved both disciplines equally. But I think
Okay.
that really what it comes down to is just like having that storytelling instinct, really whether you're a production designer, whether you're the cinematographer, whether you're the editor, everybody really, in a very real way, is contributing to the writing process by just really bringing the whole story to life.
Yeah. Yeah, you really get to see your project through from the blank page all the way. I mean, that's just has to be something special as a
Yeah, it
creative
was
type.
wonderful.
Yeah.
On this one, it was great, especially when, and we'll touch on them in a moment, I'm sure, but especially when you have actors like, Erin and Daniel. And for myself, sitting down and writing the screenplay, I had an idea of how the dialogue was going to sound and how the scenes were going to come together.
Yeah.
Then being on set with them, they added so much more to it that even
Yeah.
on the first day, when I called action and was seeing what both of them could do and were doing with the material, they were elevating it so much more. It was almost like breathtaking for me because I was like, oh, this is great. They're injecting so much more life into this,
Yeah.
into a story that I was already so proud of. And so that's why I think people are going to be in for a real
Yeah.
treat once they see the finished
Yeah. So cool. It's still kind of mind blowing to me that because this was back in February, I think, right? So
product.
it's like I'm just having a Zen moment where it's like, oh my gosh, it's finally here, and it's so fun to talk about it with you.
Yeah, it's been a count. It's
Yeah,
definitely been a countdown. It's definitely been a
yeah.
countdown. We were out in front with this one.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I went through your IMDb page a little bit. You have quite a variety there, but this looks like this is your first kind of forego with Hallmark Channel, right?
That's correct.
Can you talk a little bit how that came about? Did they reach out to you? Did your agent arrange that, or how did that kind of come about?
It all kind of came about very organically. I had written a different Christmas movie just for myself. And it was just an idea that I'd had that I was just really tickled by. And I thought that it would be such a fun, kind of this big canvas, huge family adventure. And, I got a call from my manager because he had sent it to Hallmark thinking that they might like it. And they did. They loved it, which was always terrific to hear. But I had to admit, I was kind of confused because the genre was so different than what I would typically expect from,
Oh,
say, like a
okay.
Hallmark Christmas movie. It was very much more kind of like a huge, kind of like almost like a comic book style adventure. And I took the meeting with them because I was really curious to hear what they had to say. And it was that they wanted to change things up a little bit and try some new things. And that was why the writing really resonated with them. And so it was a very easy process. I came in, I had a few ideas for different Christmas movies that I thought might fall in line with what they were looking to do with this kind of this new idea. And they jumped at two of them. And so ever since then, it's been a terrific, like very seamless, um, very rewarding experience working with that team. And it's everything that you would expect it to be
Oh, good.
because the executives who are there, who are shepherding and guiding the development of all these different Countdown to Christmas movies, they truly love what they do. And they're so passionate about what they do. And that makes the whole job so easy because you are talking with other people who are storytellers, who are really knowing and wanting to deliver the absolute best movies for everyone this holiday season. And so
Yeah.
it really was a team effort to, with everyone pulling in the same direction to get Santa Tell Me together for our, what is it? Is November 9th? Is it November? I should
Yes,
really know
yeah.
this. November
Nailed it.
9th
First date.
release.
First time. Yeah. Well, that's really interesting to hear because I mean, when it comes to it's funny because Hallmark kind of set that bar, right? With when it comes to Christmas movies, and now the market's getting very saturated. Like everybody's getting in on the game, all the different networks. So that has to be really cool when you're like, oh, I get to start with like the mothership of Christmas movies, right? With Hallmark.
It is pretty great. It is pretty great.
Yeah.
I mean, and I know that there are other, kind of services and networks and streamers certainly that are kind of coming for this kind of countdown to Christmas type idea. But, you can't beat the original. And Hallmark certainly knows exactly what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, and that's interesting what you said about your first script being a little different because it does feel the last couple of Christmases, there's a lot more variety in the story. There's been a lot of interesting scripts coming out that allow for a little more comedy, So that seems on par that they're open to new things. So that's good.
Yeah. Well, no, and I think it's just because, people love these movies so much
Hmm.
that the idea of taking that format and then innovating within it, even just a little bit by a few degrees, is something that I think people are really going to respond to. And
Hmm.
that's what got me so excited about Santa Tell Me was this idea to take some of the tropes and take some of the kind of, if you will, hallmarks of the Hallmark Christmas movies and play with them in this really kind of unexpected way. So that's what gets me most excited for the audience response once we premiere, is being able
Yeah.
to see people's reactions once we kind of set up some of these ideas in these familiar situations from different Hallmark movies in the past, and then subvert them in these really kind of fun and winking and unexpected ways.
Yeah. Well, let's dive into Santa Tell Me to the actual story. So Hallmark has kind of given us their little paragraph synopsis. That's about all we have to go on right now. Tiny little sneak peeks, not much. I kind of wish we had the full trailer already because I'm sure we'd have more to talk about.
I know, but I feel
But
like it's going to be, I mean, probably in the
it's
next
got to
week,
be
I think the
soon.
full trailer is going to come out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm just checking the page every day. Don't worry. Refresh, refresh. I'm on it. But so let's hear from you. What's your kind of synopsis overview of Santa Tell Me? What can viewers expect there?
Viewers can expect a whimsical, fun, and very romantic time because Santa Tell Me is the story of Olivia, who's this very successful, driven interior designer who discovers this forgotten letter from Santa Claus from 25 years in the past, promising her that she's going to meet the true love of her life before midnight on Christmas Eve and that his name will be Nick. And then complications ensue when she meets three seemingly perfect guys, all named Nick, and has to figure out which is the right one. So it's kind of, I don't want to say that it's like a madcap romantic adventure, but there's definitely a lot of juggling that goes
Yeah.
on for Erin
Well,
in this movie.
four men. I gotta think so.
And that was it. I mean, that was kind of the fun of it. Was in my first meeting with Hallmark, I said, look, I have this idea that I think would be really fun for a Christmas movie. And because growing up for myself is like a true believer in Santa Claus, this idea of this kind of this gift from the past that
Yeah.
is kind of coming into the present and then impacting the life of somebody who's like an adult and still kind of has this bit of a hopeless romantic in her.
Yeah.
I thought that that was so much fun, especially when you partner it with what I kind of pitched them was this idea of the Avengers of Hallmark hunks. I was like,
Love
give
it.
me all the dreamboats, give me all the guys into one movie so that no one could ever make this impossible choice because all these guys are so fantastic. So we
Right.
were lucky. We ended up with this incredible cast.
Mhm.
And there's a couple, I think there's some fun surprises in there that people might not even be
Mm.
expecting.
Nice.
And it really just did come together in this beautiful way.
Yeah. Yeah, like viewers aren't going to complain about more Hallmark hunks in their films,
No,
that's for
I mean,
sure.
yeah, it was just like more, more. And that was the amazing thing was finding out, going to all our first choices, for these roles and then having people really excited to be a part of it and jump in and also be willing to really have fun with the material.
Mhm.
That was the best thing about the movie was that everybody was on the same page. It's just this really fun kind of romantic adventure
Yeah.
and everyone was game for everything that's in the script.
Oh, very cool. So, does it have a little bit when I was on set? So, for those of you who don't know, I got to the privilege of being on set back in February, and I did get a little sense of some of the shots that were happening. That there's some of that like old school Christmas magic, like you talked about, believing in Santa when you're a kid, and some of my favorite films, like the past 2 or 3 years, have been those ones that have that kind of that magic of Christmas from when you were a kid kind of infused into them. Does it sounds like this one has that a bit of that magic?
Oh, 100%. The movie
Yeah.
is chock full of Christmas magic.
Oh, nice.
I would say it's not only a love letter to the Hallmark Christmas movies themselves, but also to your point, the kind of movies that I grew up and am excited now to share with my kids as they're getting a little bit older. I have two daughters who are 3 and just about 7. And so now at Christmas time, it's that fun experience of being able to
Yeah.
show them something like Home Alone or, both
Yeah.
versions of Miracle on 34th Street, and kind
Yeah.
of tap them into that kind of Amblin kind of family
Mhm.
fun magic of true belief, and coming from this
Yeah.
really positive kind of this belief that the magic of Christmas can kind of do anything. And
Hmm.
that's what this movie is all about, is that Christmas magic, and especially the magic of Santa Claus, knows no bounds when it comes to Christmas, and also when it comes to, it turns out, romance.
Oh, love that. And how great that you have little ones that you can still kind of get that feeling through their eyes, right? Of what that
Oh,
magic's like.
I have to
Yeah.
tell you, it was like another real bucket list moment, was on set with my kids.
Hmm.
And actually, I think it was the night that you were
It
there.
was. Yeah, they were there the day I was there. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I was able to have them there, and see what I do.
Yeah.
And I even tucked them into the background in the movie. So now
Oh,
I'm
so
very
fun.
excited for them to really
Yeah.
be a part of it. And they loved the entire experience. It was a magical moment in and of
Yeah.
itself. It was
Was
really.
that the first time that you think they kind of understood what you do when you make films or?
Yeah, well, it was serendipitous because, my wife and I were both from Vancouver.
Mhm.
But the times that I've been up there working, it just the travel schedule has never lined up because the kids are in school.
Oh,
But
right.
just by chance, they were in town that week because my wife had business up there, so brought them up, and yeah, it was. I think that they kind of had an idea of it, and they'd
Yeah.
heard me talking a lot about it for sure.
Yeah.
But having them there on set and being able to be a part of that and sit in their own little cast chairs and look
Yeah.
at the monitors and see what was going on, that it was a wonderful moment.
Right. And how fun for them. They thought Christmas was over, but here it was happening in February again. And
Oh yeah, and the crew, no, the
recreated.
crew went out of their way to make them feel super at home. I mean, and this is the wonderful thing about working on these types of movies, is that kind of the positivity and the joy and the warmth that you see on screen, that rings true because that's the energy that is behind the camera as well. So
Mhm.
everybody who's putting their hearts and souls into these movies, they really do want to make it feel like a family environment, in the making of it as well. So it was
Mhm.
wonderful when my kids came and my wife, they had, the props department had set up special chairs for them. Catering had little bags of candy that had been set aside for them. Erin and Daniel took moments with them to kind of introduce themselves and explain a little bit about what was going on. And yeah, it made it I think it's kind of one of those core memories now for my kids,
Oh,
was this really, really fun night on the set.
yeah, love that. It became a core memory for me too in my 40s. I also for me to have a moment. So I totally can relate to the 3 and 7-year-old.
That's awesome. Well, I'm
That's
glad. It
so
was great having you there, and I'm
cool.
so glad that you had a good time. It was really fun.
Yeah, a lot of fun. So, the cast of this film is a little bit of a big deal, and especially with the people watching this chat.
Yes.
So, talk to us a little bit about the casting. How early in the process did you know it was going to be Daniel and Erin? And did you know the history there and that this was their first time back together on screen for a while? How did that come about?
Well, I would say that finding out about Aaron and Daniel being in the movie, it was a huge moment for me, but it didn't happen as early as you might think,
Okay.
because all I knew was that we were making the movie, and Hallmark, our amazing executives, Camden and Davika, had hinted that there was something big in the works. And I didn't know exactly what that meant because they wouldn't tip their hat at all to
Oh,
who they had
wow.
in line to be in the movie. And so once I heard that it was Aaron and Daniel, I was familiar with their work, especially because my wife is a huge fan of When Calls the Heart.
Woo,
I
the
had heard
Hardys.
about the show through her, and I remember that she had come back from a flight. She was, flying back and forth between Vancouver for business, and she had been watching and just catching up on every single season. And she was so furious about Daniel dying in the show. And so she came in, and I was like, what's the matter? And she's like, I've just been watching the show, and you wouldn't believe what they did. So I kind of had a bit of the backstory.
Yeah.
We found out I mean, it was only a couple weeks before that all the T's were crossed and the I's were dotted. And I found out that it was going to be the two of them. So that got me excited, kind of having my own personal backstory with this. But then once it was announced, that was really when I realized the magnitude of what we had done, of what was being put together. Because it was this entire community that is looking at this podcast right now. Your comments, your enthusiasm, everything that you were posting, it made me realize, oh my gosh, this is a huge moment. And it's not that I wasn't taking the movie very seriously already, but all of a sudden I felt this extra burden of responsibility because I was like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, this is the reunion that people have been waiting for. We cannot mess this up. Like this has to be just right. This has to be perfect.
Yeah.
And fortunately, Erin and Daniel's chemistry is so natural, and seeing them get back together again in front of the camera, it was like seeing two old dance partners just kind of like get
Oh,
out onto the floor and pick up right where they left off. And it was wonderful.
love that. That's music to my ears to hear that. And how did your wife take the news when you told her that that they were going to be in
Oh,
your movie?
she was beyond thrilled, especially because once she heard that they were,
Right.
she's like, and the question that she kept on asking me was, well, do they end up together? And I told her, you have to watch the movie. I can't spoil anything. Can't spoil anything. She's got a lot of guys in this movie. No, she was thrilled. And then it was funny because then as word got out about me doing the movie, there would be other people in my life. It would turn out would kind of be coming out of the woodwork. And it turned
Yeah.
out that there were fans of theirs all over who were so anticipating the chance to see them get back together on camera again. So it was
Oh,
it
so
was
good.
really fun. Like I said, it
Yeah.
got me, I was already so excited, and it made me even more excited about making the movie.
Yeah, that announcement kind of threw you into the deep end of what the Hardys are like. That's for sure. They
Hey, I'm a passionate guy, and I respond very well to, passion recognizes passion. So
love it.
I think it's great. And I think I'm crossing my fingers here, but I think that, I think we definitely deliver on what everybody has been hoping for.
Oh, we can't wait. Um, so I wanted to talk a little bit more diving into the actual movie making aspect. So when you're on set,
Mhm.
and because you are both the writer and the director, how do you balance that once you're actually shooting? Do you find yourself hearing the script and hearing things and going, "Oh, I wish I'd said this," or "I wish I'd done this," or are you still tweaking the actual script itself, or are you kind of more focused on the visual storytelling and creating the emotion of the movie?
That's a great question. I mean, I would say that when it comes to both writing and directing, on this one, the only real tinkering that was done with the script was as we were locking our locations, because the story was very much in place. But then sometimes, depending on which house we would go to, or whether or not we could get, because we have some fantastic locations in this, and we were able to shoot downtown Vancouver and get these amazing. There's this incredible skating rink that we were able to get access to, and within the script, as those locations and as those pieces were being hammered into place, there would be a little bit of tinkering for just in terms of how those scenes are going to flow and how they would be broken up. But when it came to actually like the story and the dialogue, on this one, it was more or less, it was pretty concrete in terms of what it was going to be. And so that allowed me on set to kind of detach myself from the writer part of it and
Yeah.
really just put on my director hat and then lean into that. And I will
Okay.
say both Aaron and Daniel it was amazing because I've directed things before where the actors are liberal with what the exact words on the page are as opposed to what they're actually saying.
Yeah.
And that's actually fine because I think that, what I would like is for everything to sound natural and sound comfortable to the actor who's saying it. And it doesn't have to be word perfect. But Aaron and Daniel loved the script so much that they were so particular about getting everything word perfect. And there was even takes where I would say, okay, that's great, we're moving on. And Aaron would say, no, 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 I need one more because I missed this one word, or
Yeah.
I changed something just slightly, and I like the way that you've written it more. And that kind of that respect, and not only for me, but really for the story and what was on the page and what we were trying to do together, was really wonderful because it's that sort of dedication to the story and to this experience. You don't always get that, and it was
Yeah.
really, really, it was very welcome. It was a terrific experience working with both of them.
Nice. Well, and I'm hoping with these chats, where I'm working on trying to get a chat with the two of them. So it will be interesting to hear also from an actor's perspective, kind of how, if that adds extra pressure, knowing that you wrote it in addition to directing, or, kind of their side of things, as far as sticking to the script and bringing your story to life. So hopefully we can hear from them on that. But um, and then I noticed Jen, shout out to Jen, who was the script supervisor.
Yes.
So, with you, with the script supervisor there, what kind of role does she play, with
Oh,
you as the writer on set? I've never
oh,
really
well, Jen
fully
was, I mean,
understood their jobs, so I'm
oh,
curious.
sure. Well,
Yeah.
so the script supervisor is really in charge of continuity. And
Okay.
so what Jen, who now works on When Calls the Heart,
Yeah.
actually,
Yeah.
was her whole job really was not only just being an awesome person to sit next to all day, every day on set, but also when actors are doing takes, and you'll notice this in movies and shows sometimes, there's little continuity gaffes where an actor will pick up a cup
Mm.
and then it cuts to a different angle and then the cup is back on the table, let's say. Um, the script supervisor's job is to keep track of those things. And it's a
Okay.
very, very particular skill because you have to keep everything in your head all the time
Mhm.
and make sure that there is this sense of continuity through all these different takes. And it can be exhausting because sometimes it can take, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours to shoot a scene. Or sometimes scenes are shot across the span of multiple days because you're going back, you're picking up little things here and there,
Mhm.
or it might be a location thing, whatever it is. And so that's where Jen really had a chance to shine because she has a wonderful mind for this sort of stuff and was able to keep us on track and make sure that there was nothing that will take you out of the movie. Not where you're watching it and saying, "Oh, what is that's clearly a
Yeah.
mistake."
Yeah.
Her job is to really keep the viewer invested in the story and make sure that there's no speed bumps as we're,
Right. And not the viewer to not be distracted by those kind of things. Yeah.
yeah. And
That's
she
quite
has
a,
eyes like a hawk. It's a very particular.
yeah. I was gonna say you have to be very detail oriented, sounds like, for that job. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, again, I feel like I have a pretty good eye for detail, but Jen just takes it to a whole other level. So
Nice.
she was really able to keep us on track and make sure that everyone will only be focused on the story and not what's going on with coffee cups in the background and things like.
Yeah, right. And yeah, no kidding. Or the famous, what was it? Wasn't it like Downton Abbey that had the water bottle on the
Oh, there was
that
Downton Abbey and
yeah.
Game of Thrones. I think Game of
Yeah.
Thrones had a Starbucks cup that found
Yeah,
its way
Starbucks.
onto a
Even
banquet
worse than
table.
the water bottle, the
Yeah.
Starbucks. Too funny. Oh, good. Well, that transitions great to my next question, which is sort of um, being on set for me was a really cool, like for When Calls the Heart, we've talked to a lot of the behind the scenes people, right? The lighting, the people that are those attention to detail people, that are part of the bigger team that you never see really too much of. But getting those behind the scenes videos and things like that is so different than being there and seeing everything in motion. It was just, that was probably one of the coolest things for me, was just sitting in the tent with the director of photography and
Mhm.
watching them set up the lighting and even down to hair and makeup. It's just such a cool thing to see all those pieces in motion and knowing how many people come together. What's the collaboration like for you? Is that one of your favorite parts about being on set, or what's your favorite part about the actual process with that team?
Yeah, I mean, I would say what I loved, there were so many things that I loved about the team that brought Santa Tell Me to life. And part of it for me is that I'm a social guy. I love being around people. Writing doesn't really provide me that much of an opportunity to do that. It's a very siloed profession. So being able to then
Yeah.
tell a story and do it as part of a team and bring this amazing group of creatives together to let everybody have a chance to shine and to let everybody make their own contributions. And again, much like Erin and Daniel taking the words on the page and breathing this extra kind of unexpected new life into them, I, of course, as I'm writing it, I had ideas about what some of these locations and what some of these sets would look like, what the hair and makeup and what the costumes might look like. But, getting a chance to work with these incredible professionals all across the board who brought their own unique insights and ideas to the table, all of a sudden everything was really leaping off the page because, everyone was so good at their jobs. They were so collaborative everybody understood and was passionate about the story that we were trying to tell. And it was no, it was a lovely, lovely, like I said before, it's almost like it was like very much like a family atmosphere. It was like a family environment. And what also helped that was that for many people, this was after the writers and actors strike last year.
Mhm.
This was really the first job back in many months for people. And so
Oh, wow.
everyone was
Yeah.
so excited to be there and to be back doing what they love and to be back doing what they're best at. And so I think that really is going to shine through in the movie, all that passion and all that excitement and all the fun that was had.
Yeah, it's almost too bad that because I think these Hallmark ones shoot in 3-ish weeks, right?
Mhm.
So it probably you get so close to these people in such a short amount of time, and then you're saying goodbye again to them and on to the next.
You say goodbye and it's on to the
Yeah.
next, but then you still, I mean, it's great. It's like I still text with Erin and Daniel all the time, and and you still hear from it. There's definitely still those friendships that are forged and those connections that are made, and they persist. And it's like, and I would love the opportunity to work with anybody on that
Mhm.
shoot again, and I'm
Yeah.
sure that that's going to happen. So, so it is. It's like it's a really nice way to meet wonderful people who are passionate about what they do, and then hope for a chance to get the opportunity to spend more time together to create something new and different to tell new and exciting stories. And so
Mhm.
that's I've got my fingers crossed for next year that we're going to get a chance to get the band back together and some.
Yeah, I love that. Was it a bit of an adjustment? Because you haven't done the Hallmark before, doing that short of a shoot, especially as a director,
Mhm.
trying to adjust schedule-wise for the 3-week time frame, or did it go pretty smoothly there?
I've, well, having done commercials, having done
Mm,
some television, having done a number of different size
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
productions, it was easier than you might think to fit
Mhm.
into it. I also had the
Okay.
benefit of working with this amazing production company up there in Vancouver, and Trevor McWhinney, who is this
Mhm.
incredible producer. He was kind of very much like a my tour guide into the world of Hallmark and how these movies are put together.
Oh,
But
great.
but I would say, would it have been great to have had longer to shoot? Sure. But I'll also say that within those 15 days, we have so much movie and we're able to achieve so much. And it really is this kind of this finely oiled machine, like this terrific operation that comes together and is able to take advantage of every single second of one of these schedules to elevate and to make the movie something that's unexpected and surpasses the expectations of what the viewers who are tuning in might be expecting.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean it was a quick pace, but since everybody was on the same page
Yeah.
and everybody was passionate about the story, I mean even if it had been a 6 month shoot, I still feel like it would have felt like 3 weeks. It just would have gone
Oh,
by.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Well, I have a feeling that the viewers of this are like, get to the good Erin and Daniel stuff. We got to talk about our favorite people. I love hearing all of it. All of the movie making fun is too fun. But so this was your first time working with Erin Krakow, right?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
no, it was my
how,
first time. Hopefully
yeah.
not the last time because I love her so much. She is
Yeah.
incredible to work with,
Yeah.
and just a wonderful all-around human being. I do not have enough good stuff to say about Erin.
Awesome. Yeah, and all of the times, like When Calls the Heart and other projects, everybody always says that as sort of the number one on the call sheet, she is really good at setting the tone for
Mhm.
just kindness on set and things like that. So was that pretty much your experience, or how was it
Oh,
working with her
100%.
overall? Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, Erin and I had reached out to one another once we discovered that she was going to be in the movie. Once I found out about that, reached out and we actually spent a lot of time texting and just kind of getting to know each other that way.
Mhm.
And part of what she was sending me in those kind of initial exchanges was this kind of heads up that this is how I really like to work, and this is how I like the set to be. And not in an overstepping way. She just wanted to make sure that we were on the same page. And it
Mhm.
was incredibly refreshing because that's exactly the way that I like to lead a set as well. And so I it's a job and it's an arduous job with long hours and sometimes you're in substandard conditions where it's pouring rain or it's snowing or you're behind schedule or something's going wrong.
Yeah.
And there are sets that I've been on where the director or the people who are in charge, maybe the producers at that moment, will make it really feel like a job and
Yeah.
not lead with that sort of kindness. And I think that that's a misstep. It's a stressful profession, but I think that if you lead with enthusiasm and passion and the understanding that everybody's there doing their best, trying to get the best work done, that will lead to a really great movie. And so Erin and I were very much in lockstep about that. And it was really wonderful because she came on set and then did set this tone, not only for the cast, but really for everyone, because she is so passionate about what she does. And she's so joyful to be there doing what she loves that it's this infectious kind of happiness that radiates off of her and that definitely carried through the whole shoot. And also like into post,
Yeah.
seeing her when we had to go back and loop just a little bit of dialogue because we had crazy noise from snow machines and there was generators going off and things like that. And seeing her at the ADR stage, looking up at the scenes that we'd shot, she was almost just like a little kid because her eyes were so full of just kind of, she couldn't believe what she was seeing. She was just having the best time and just loving what we created. And that to me was just this hugely rewarding moment to see that all that work, all that she had put of herself into the movie was something that was then reflecting back at her in this like really wonderful way.
Love that. Yeah. And then we have, Erin plays Olivia, and
Mhm.
she is now what appears to be juggling four different guys in the movie. And I'm sure a lot of them are well known, and you're dealing with four men with different personalities and four different actors that might work a little differently. So any good stories with the guys? Did they get to interact much amongst themselves, or did they kind of shoot separately? What was that process like? And we might be a little biased toward one in particular, but
Well, yes, we did. We did have the good fortune to be with Daniel for the majority of the shoot, and Daniel is also just amazing. I mean, he's so affable. He's always got a spring in his step. He's got that amazing smile. I mean, it's like just spending time with the guy is an absolute blast. And again, such a wild talent. So it was like really, really terrific having him there for a lot of our scenes. And then with our others, because we had Christopher Russell, Benjamin Ayres, and of course we have Kurt, who's our third Nick. And he all three of them, it became this kind of scheduling matrix where we
right,
had to have them coming in and out. So it was very much Erin was not the only one, or Olivia rather. Olivia was not the only one doing this juggling act
right.
because we had to have all of them coming in and out of our schedule all the time. But they were all incredible professionals. I have to tell you, it's like, and I mean, it sounds like I'm making this up, but it's like each and every one of them is the Hallmark guy that you wish and hope that they would be. They're all, so charming, so lovely to be around. And again, they were all really game for everything that was happening in the script. So I would say that the favorite moment, though, and it's not a spoiler because I think that there's a beat of it in the little sneak peek trailer
Mhm.
that's already been released. But there is a moment where all of them do come together. And that was the moment that I think was one of my very favorites in the shoot was seeing all of these guys in the same space at the same location and just kind of the unexpected fun that ensues from all of them running into one another is definitely a standout moment in the movie.
Yeah. Well, and there's like it's probably like a 1 second clip where they're all what appears to be duking it out with candy canes, and where she yells Nick, and they all answer. Which I mean, if that's any indication of the shenanigans that are coming, we're here for it for sure.
There are some definite shenanigans that
Yeah.
happen. It's a very fun, very charming moment in the movie, and yeah, I don't want to give too much away, but yes, they all have very strong feelings for Olivia, and we'll all get a chance to see how that plays itself out.
Oh, interesting. And then with Daniel and Erin, did it, because it has been several years since they worked together, did it seem like they kind of easily just stepped back into working together, or was there a little bit of, it's 5 years later now, a little bit of feeling each other out with the
There
process,
was
or
no, no, there
seeing,
was
yeah,
no, there was, they fell right back into lockstep with one
yeah,
another. And I think that what that speaks to is the fact that they're real friends. And so
hmm,
it's not as if, once Daniel left the show that they stopped talking or stopping communication. They had this incredible shorthand and
yeah,
really do, like, in a friendly way, care for each other very much. And so, in terms of their chemistry and getting them back on screen together, it was seamless because
mm,
they had already done all the work over all the years on the show to figure out
right,
what their dynamic was. And granted,
yeah,
these are new and different characters, but
hmm,
using everything that they've learned and everything that they've learned about one another from When Calls the Heart,
hmm,
it felt like a I mean, what it is, it felt like this reunion
yeah,
of these two people who were very excited to be back together again. So
hmm,
and to be frank, it made my job very easy.
yeah,
Getting scenes with
yeah,
them because
yeah,
they were able to um, be in sync with one another and anticipate what one another was going to do,
yeah,
and they just kind of had almost this sixth sense about how scenes between them should go. And
hmm,
so, the proof is in the pudding, but I think that everyone's going to be very excited by some of the
yeah.
by some of the moments between them you can see in the movie.
Love that. Well, and to kind of take you have with these 3 week shoots, if you're throwing two strangers together that have never, and not that it's not doable, but you're kind of also learning how each other works in addition to
Mhm.
trying to create chemistry and tell a great story. Whereas with them, they already know how each other works. They know kind of the nuts and bolts of what that's going to look like as far as shooting. So they can really focus on the performance and the chemistry and telling a great story and
It was. It was a huge
yeah.
advantage having them with this volume of work that they'd already created together because
Yeah.
they already knew what the dynamic was going to be both on screen and off. Uh,
Hmm.
so
Yeah.
there was already that sense of familiarity. It wasn't as if you're acting
Yeah.
opposite a stranger. It was two
Hmm.
friends getting back together and having fun.
Yeah.
And that I think is really what you feel when you watch the movie.
Mm,
Uh,
good.
or I hope that's what you feel, is that
Yeah.
everyone who's making it was just having a really good time.
Awesome. Yeah. So, without giving away any spoilers, do you have a favorite scene or, maybe a shot you really loved when you shot as a director that we can be on the lookout for, but without
It's
spoiling it?
okay. I'm not going to spoil anything. I will say the scene where the Knicks meet um,
Yeah.
is definitely one of my favorites, and there was a lot of laughter on set that day. I mean, I think that
Oh.
we actually had a few takes that were
Yeah.
blown because people were laughing so hard. So I would think that that is probably one of my favorite moments in the movie. In terms of shots and sequences, well, my favorite shot in the movie is kind of a random one. It's a wide shot of Daniel walking into a train station. And the reason I love it is because that's the shot that my wife and kids are in. And so that's actually
Oh,
my favorite shot in the movie.
love it.
That's my
Love
favorite
it.
shot.
Oh,
But also there is a train station that's in the film, that's in the story, and I think that that's probably one of my favorite sequences as well because it has a very fun, I'm going to say almost like Home Alone quality to the sequence,
okay.
and I think that it captured some of the magic, some of that Amblin type Christmas magic that really inspired me to want to write it in the first place. And it
Mm,
was nice kind of seeing that come together at this amazing location
yeah.
that we weren't sure we were going to get. But being there on that night with you, you were there that night.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, Seeing it all come together in this really elegant way, that was hugely rewarding. That was a really, really fun night. I'm going to remember that night
Mhm.
for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can attest sitting in the tent, seeing some beautiful shots. I didn't have audio, but boy, visually it was just gorgeous. And
Yeah.
And also for the Hardys out there, and I don't know if you knew this, Ryan, that the train station they might recognize was also used in When Calls the Heart. So
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah,
That's right. No, it is. And so
yeah,
it's actually funny. I had seen a behind the scenes clip of Daniel and Erin there
yes,
from I don't know how many years ago.
yeah,
And so it was kind of like this, in a weird
yeah,
way, kind of this like homecoming for the two of them to be back and shooting at this
yeah,
location on a
yeah,
totally different project with totally different characters,
yeah,
totally different crew.
yeah.
Um, but they certainly knew their way around the train.
Right.
They've been
Well, and
there
that
before.
was so many, that one was, I believe, season two. So it was a good 10 years, 10 years ago that they shot it. So, and for me, it was pretty surreal to see the two of them in that location together.
It
It
was
was pretty
overdue.
cool.
It was overdue. But it pays off. It's a really lovely kind of magical moment in the movie. It's I think one of the most magical moments in the whole story.
Oh, very cool. So, like I said, I'm hoping to chat with Jan and Erin, but if we do, is there anything that we should ask them about or any inside jokes that we should? Did they throw in any Jack and Elizabeth Easter eggs, I'm wondering, or
No, oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. I wonder. I don't think they did.
Yeah.
I don't think they did because unless they did it and they didn't tell me. The only
Yeah, that could be.
reason,
They might have worked together there.
the only reason I'm not sure that they did was because again, they were so dedicated and passionate about getting the script exactly right that
Hmm.
there wasn't much in it. But what I'll say is, I would invite everyone to watch it very closely and then call out in the comments, as
Yeah.
you are, or whether it's on Twitter, on Facebook, or wherever, and see if there's some of those moments that are in there because there may be even if it's a look that she gives him or something like that that recalls a favorite moment from the show.
Yeah.
That I would be fascinated to find out because that would make me watch it with this whole new lens. I have to have my wife
Yeah.
watch it again now and be like,
Yeah. Well, as a creator who runs these pages, like I'll totally be looking for that the entire because I can already picture like I already want to create reels showing the video of the comparison of those kind of moments.
I would
And
love that.
I have a feeling it'll be looks, just the way they look at each other or something, things like that that will take us back. But
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that a little Easter egg scavenger hunt, I think
yeah,
sounds
exactly. There we go. I like
sounds wonderful. In terms of like
it.
inside jokes and things like that,
Yeah.
I I think that the only one that really jumps to mind that Erin thought was so funny was that from the writing perspective, the movie has a very quick pace to it. It has a lot of banter, and so Erin did an amazing job, as did Jess Brown, who plays Darcy, her sister in the movie. They would have almost this rapid fire, these scenes where it would be pages of dialogue that had to be compressed into a very short period of time just to keep things on its feet and keep it lively. So my shorthand for this was that I would call them chunky scenes because I'm like, look, it's a bit of a chunky scene. So it's kind of like it's got a lot to it. And Erin thought that this was the funniest thing. So when on the last day of set, or the last day that we had on set, she gave me this gift, which was Kit Kat, I guess has like a bar that's called like a chunky bar. And she
Oh.
was like, I need you to have this because she's like, we've been talking about these scenes a lot. And she's like, I think that I saw this and it made me think of you. And I was very tickled by it. I thought that was really funny and very sweet.
So every time you
Um,
see one at a store, you'll be thinking of Erin and the
I
chunky
always,
scenes.
yes, I always think of Erin now when I see Kit Kats. No, I mean, I'm sure that there's a million different things that I'm forgetting right now. I wish I hadn't, but I want to find out what Erin and Daniel have to say.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and if you think of any, just send them my way, and we'll see if we can get them and slide them in
For sure.
there.
For sure. I will.
Well, before we let you go, I had noticed that you also have a second Countdown to Christmas movie
That's right.
this year called Sugar Plumbed, I believe. And you're working with Maggie Lawson and Janelle Parrish.
Yes.
Is there anything you could tell us about that? We love supporting, all the work. So,
Oh,
any tease
thank
about
you.
that little one? Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's very different than this, but that's part of what excites me about it in a way is that Santa Tell Me is really a love letter to the Hallmark movies and the romances and
Mhm.
doing fun and unexpected things within those parameters, with taking the fabric of a story like that and then making it into something that's brand new and exciting and again, very, very romantic.
Yeah.
Um, Sugar Plumbed is actually more of a family film,
Oh, okay.
which is
Yeah.
something that really that I've always been passionate about. It falls more in line with something I would say like Elf than with Santa
Okay.
Tell Me, which is really kind of more of a like a light on his feet romance. So Sugar
Now,
Plum,
did you write Sugar Plum, or is this
I
a different?
did.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it's another writer director combo for that one.
Yes, this was
Okay.
the I had pitched Hallmark a couple ideas and they jumped at two. And so this
Okay.
is the second of those two.
Okay.
And it's the story of a Christmas wish that goes sideways, where a mother who is longing to have the perfect Christmas, one just like the ones that she sees in a certain set of made for television holiday movies, that she makes a wish that she could have a Christmas just like that. And the result is that a character, this relentlessly optimistic character named Sugar Plum, comes out of the television screen and into real life and is determined to help her have the perfect Christmas, whether she wants to or not. So she kind of lives
Oh,
her life
okay.
according to the rules of these movies, which don't always jive 100% with how the real world works. So
You don't say, really?
it's oh my gosh, and we have a lot of fun with it. So it's very much
Yeah.
it's a fish out of water story that's not only a family movie, but also it's really anchored in this beautiful friendship that comes to be between these two women. And it's a fun thing where initially the woman who Maggie, who makes the wish, she realizes what trouble she's gotten herself into, and it's an interesting dynamic between her and Sugar Plum. But then over the course of the movie, this really unexpected bond forges between the two of them. And the
Yeah.
movie's really about, in a lot of ways, um, taking that expectation of a perfect Christmas and realizing that it's the imperfections of the holidays that make them beautiful in their own way and also kind of more memorable and more magical. So
Oh,
it's
nice.
another example of a movie with a huge amount of Christmas magic that's in it. Um,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
very
Sounds like
fun, it's very funny, and it's also a very nice companion piece to Santa Tell Me. So
nice.
it has been a year
Yeah.
of Christmas for me, and I'm
Yeah,
very excited for
definitely.
both of these movies to come out.
Well, and I would say those two actresses are they are on the top of my list as far as comedic. Like Maggie
Oh yeah.
Lawson is just so good with her timing, and both of them are, I can see bringing a lot of comedy and a lot of heart to that. So
Oh,
look forward to it.
they're
Yeah.
both absolutely fantastic. And they add so much to the roles that were already on the page. And
Yeah.
yeah, Maggie's comedic timing is
Yeah.
insanely great. She's such a joy to work with. She's so
Nice.
talented. And then Janelle was able to bring all these fun little touches to the performance that I wasn't anticipating.
Oh,
She inhabits and completely embodies the role of a person who lives and loves Christmas every single day, who comes from this world where Christmas is always perfect.
yeah.
And also it's like she got her start on Broadway. So there might be just a little hint of singing that's in the movie.
Oh, interesting.
There's some fun little flourishes that bring the
Yeah.
movie world into ours in again kind of unexpected ways. So
Okay.
it's a
Yeah.
really fun one. It's really
Very
fun.
cool. Well, we'll definitely look for that one. I think I don't know the exact date. Do you know the exact date? I think it's a
Yes,
little later. Oh, good. Yeah.
it's December 7th.
Oh, okay.
So Santa Tell
Okay.
Me November 9th, and
Yeah.
then Sugar Plumbed is December 7th.
And are there also 52 Hallmark hunks in Sugar Plumbed or not quite as many?
There are not that many, but I will say that there are some very fun hidden surprises and cameos in the movie. So
Oh my
some very
goodness.
familiar faces
Yeah.
are in Sugar Plum,
I love it.
and you just have to keep your eyes out
Yeah.
because there's yeah lots of fun little details in there, lots of fun little surprises.
Very cool. So two from you this year. So does that mean we'll see more with Hallmark in the future, do you think? Or do
Oh,
you
I
hope
hope
for that?
so.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I hope so. Both
Yeah.
movies were such a joy to be a part of.
Mhm.
And you know, I think that there's multiple different ways you could go if you wanted to tell more stories in those worlds, or else I have to tell you, as a guy who loves Christmas. I mean, I met my wife on Christmas Eve. Christmas has always been like a huge part of my life and then now our lives
Oh,
together.
yeah,
And with, as being a dad of two kids and being able to show them these movies
yeah,
and see their eyes light up and have them be a part of it, I would jump at the opportunity because it was
yeah.
both chances to make these movies have been lifetime experiences for me.
Yeah.
It's been
You
amazing.
met your wife on Christmas Eve? That sounds like it writes itself. It sounds like you might need to write that
There's
story.
so many. No, in my initial meeting with Hallmark, I told them that we met at a friend's party on Christmas
Oh
Eve.
wow. Oh
We part of my courtship of her was a year later putting together this incredible handmade advent calendar that had wax sealed notes for every single day of the month and
oh
these fun little bespoke gifts and things like that.
wow.
And then we got married during the holidays
Oh
years
nice.
later. And so it's yeah, Christmas has a very special place in my heart. Like ever since I've been a kid,
Yeah.
but now it has this added significance. And
Oh
yeah, so whether it's the
yeah.
Hallmark Christmas movie or whether it's
Yeah.
another movie for Hallmark that's something completely different and unexpected, I definitely hope to be telling more stories in this world soon.
Love that. Well, these movies are a huge part of many of my traditions every year and all of the people watching. So we're really grateful and we can't wait. And for me personally, I want to say thank you to you and everybody on the team. Everyone was so kind,
Oh, thank you.
generous. I loved, I mean, it was, like I said, a memory I will never forget,
Oh,
being part
wonderful.
of
Yeah.
the set. So thank you for
Of
that.
course. No, we loved it. We loved having you. We loved having you. You're always welcome back anytime you want to come back.
Don't
No, but
tempt me
that's
with a good
great to
time,
hear.
huh?
That's great to hear. Yes. No, of
Yeah.
course you are more than welcome, of course.
Well, I feel like with these Santa Tell Me chats, we should start a new tradition. I'm throwing this curveball at you, but um, if you could ask Santa one thing, what would you want Santa to tell you this holiday season?
Oh my goodness. What would I want to know from Santa Claus? That's a great question. Um, I would want to know, I would say, who does Olivia end up with in the movie? I would say, Santa, you
Mm.
have to tell me. I cannot wait until November 9th. I need to know right now.
There you go.
I think I'll go with that. I'll go with that. That's my final answer. That's my
The
final answer.
perfect button on the chat by a great director move there. You just button the chat button.
I do what I can. I do what I can. But what would you ask Santa for?
Oh no, we're turning it on me.
Oh
I,
yeah.
I would probably ask the same thing. Yeah,
Okay.
I would. And for
Okay. Well,
Santa to
hey,
tell me how many people we can get to turn up for this on November 9th. Yep.
I think we've both been very good this year because yes, we will. We're going to get the answer to our question when the movie airs.
Awesome. Yep, in just a couple weeks. So I know that are you on Twitter or X? Will you be tweeting or
I have a Twitter account, but
okay.
I may have to dust it off.
All right. Yeah, that would be fun.
I haven't been on in a while, but I
Yeah.
am active on Instagram. Just at Ryan Landels. If anybody wants to follow,
Yeah.
we'll actually be posting some fun behind the scenes stuff.
Oh,
I
great.
think next week, maybe before the movie
Yeah.
comes out, I'll be doing some fun behind the scenes photos.
Oh, love that.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, reach out. Post in
Yeah.
the comments. I always
Yeah.
love hearing from everyone.
Yeah.
And yeah, and please, everyone, thank you for watching this, and I
Yeah.
really hope you enjoy the movie.
Yeah. And tune in. It's a Saturday night, November night, 8, 7 Central, only on Hallmark Channel. And I will for sure be tweeting. I hope all of you will join us. Hashtag Santa Tell Me. Be sure to use that hashtag. And then, of course, keep following on Instagram. Sounds like Ryan has some goodies coming for you. I'll definitely have some more goodies. I still have some more autograph pics to give away, some signed scripts. So super excited for that. So thanks everybody for joining us. And thanks again, Ryan,
Awesome.
for your time today.
Thank you. Of course. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.